Yo, it seems like Joel Embiid has been in the news a lot lately. And we talk about, excuse me, when we talk about Joel, we talk about his talent. We talk about his greatness. We talk about how he's arguably the most skilled center of all time. That's how talented he is. That's how gifted he is as a basketball player. But you know what else when we talk about when it comes to Joel Embiid? We talk about how he's a playoff dropper at times. We talk about how he hasn't had a healthy postseason run. We talk about all the different types of teams that he's played on, and the Philadelphia Sixers have tried to build around Joel Embiid. And he came out basically withdrew, withdrew, and pure sweat. We know like they work out. Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid are all friends and things of that nature. But he came out and said that basically if Jason Tatum has a superstar team, if he goes 5 for 20, then his team will somehow win. And there's nothing wrong with what he said because it is some truth to that. But at the same time, nobody really wants to hear that from Joel Embiid because Joel Embiid has been on several different teams in his past, 5 years? It seems like the Philadelphia Sixers have like 5 or 6 different teams that have had elite talent, and unfortunately, he's either hurt or in the playoffs he's not showing up, or he's not the same Joel Embiid that we are accustomed to seeing in the regular season in the playoffs. So it just don't hit the same. And he's been coming out and having a lot of conversations and a lot of just speaking, whether that's in the press, whether that's in the media, whether that's like written press or even just podcast media. And it just feels like I wish he would just play basketball. I wish he would just focus on the Olympics right now. But even then, he's coming out, he's saying that LeBron James is basically not the same LeBron James anymore. And then LeBron James goes out the past 2 Olympic matchups and basically reminds people that he's probably still the best American in the world and has clutch performances. So I just look at Joel Embiid. I look at a player that he even came out and said like he would be the GOAT if it wasn't for injuries. Like we're always talking about Joel Embiid, and a lot of times when we talk about Joel Embiid, it's a lot of what ifs, it's a lot of excuses, it's a lot of pointing the finger, it's a lot of complaining, and it's just not enough overall production or winning when it matters the most when you listen to Joel Embiid. And once again, I know him and Jason Tatum are close, so I'm not going to pay too much into this, but I just seen that report and I just thought it was very funny because it's coming from Joel Embiid. This is a guy, you had Jimmy Butler on your team, you had James Harden on your team, like you had Ben Simmons when Ben Simmons was still very elite. Like you've had a great group of guys and teammates, and largely you haven't got it done when it matters the most because whether it's your health or whether it's just you not performing the way that people are accustomed to see you perform in a regular season compared to the playoffs. So, and then the conversation about Jason Tatum stems from a lot of things because it's that old saying, people may tell jokes, but it's always some truth within those jokes. And Jason Tatum may be the most disrespected superstar in the league today. Because it just seems like constantly a lot of people are shitting on Jason Tatum with things outside of like basketball. It's like we hate that he's on the Celtics. We hate that he has a great team. We hate that he's the future face of the league. We hate that like he didn't win the Finals MVP. It's like it's always something negative when it comes to Jason Tatum. But once again, that's why he had that ad campaign with Jordan, like, what are they going to say now? He's still an NBA champion. And they try to pretend like Jason Tatum's success has just came these past 2 years or this year with the team, with them acquire KP and also Drew Holiday and such. But at the same time, Jason Tatum has been putting in the work since he came into this league and has been dominating, has been the best player basically since he arrived as a rookie. It was him leading the Boston Celtics in points as a rookie. It was him taking a young Celtics team and being their focal point and their leader against LeBron James at his peak in 2018. Like, it was him who had a phenomenal comeback down 3-2 against Giannis Antetokounmpo, put on one of the most epic performances we have seen. And it was him who has a 50-point game 7 where he beat James Harden and also beat Joel Embiid. So it's just like when you hear Joel Embiid talk and you hear these conversations, and when it's Jason Tatum and everybody's going to get, anytime somebody mentions Jason Tatum, it's automatically hate. But it's just kind of like we've seen Jason Tatum his entire course of his career be impactful, be great. It was Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics when they gentlemen swept. I think that was a sweep. I think the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and it was Jason Tatum, also Jaylen Brown, picking up Kevin Durant full court, putting that pressure on him, made one of Kevin Durant's worst playoff performances ever came with Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. So it's just like we just saw in the NBA Finals, him and the Boston Celtics just beat one of his peers, and a lot of the talk between Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum has always been synonymous together, and he just beat Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games, led the NBA Finals in total points, total rebounds, total assists, and also played defense and took out the Dallas Mavericks, Lively and Daniel Gafford out of the picture and took away their lob threat because he was guarding a 4 and a 5, one of the most versatile defenders this league has ever seen. So it's like when people have these conversations and they talk about Jason Tatum or they say Jason Tatum's name, it's going to pick up clicks, it's going to pick up engagement. But at the end of the day, make sure you talk about everything that he has accomplished. And for Joel Embiid coming out, whether he was joking or not, it just seems like he's been talking a lot, and we have so much commentary on, if I wasn't hurt, I would be the GOAT. Okay. If I played on a super team, I would have more championships. You've been on super teams. LeBron James is, I don't know if we're going to win the Olympics because, some of the guys are older. Okay, LeBron goes on and dominates. It's just like everything Joel Embiid says is said. It's kind of like it's his right. He can say whatever the hell he wants to say, but it's also like it's been a lot of cap. The shit ain't true. It ain't factual. It's not hitting coming out of his mouth. And as a person who likes Joel Embiid a lot and has really always talked about his greatness and always reminded people of his greatness and also his injuries and some of the things that he has struggled with over the course of his career, sometimes it's time for you just to show up and to perform and to dominate, not always make excuses. And it's kind of like when we talk about that mentality of, and like I said, things can be considered buzzwords. Like people bring up dog, people bring up toughness, people bring up mama mentality. Those are buzzwords sometimes. But once again, it just seems like when we talk about mama mentality or having that mental toughness, it just seems like Joe and B don't have that when it matters the most. So it's just like until we see you rise and elevate, and how about lead the Philadelphia Sixers to an Eastern Conference Finals, or be healthy when it matters the most and take care of your body and doing the things that you need to do on a basketball court for an 82-game regular season and the postseason, Why don't we? Let's stop the comments. Let's stop the conversation. Let's also stop all the excuses. Yes, you dealt with injuries, freak of nature injuries, and things that you can't control. But the things you can control is when you are healthy and when you're on that court and you are in the playoffs, making sure that you are the same Joel Embiid, which is a top 3 player in the world in the regular season. Come play postseason, you're the same type of player. You can control that. But the whole crying and talking about and being on podcasts saying that if you had a super team, you would have rings, you would have championships. We seen you on super teams, bro. We seen you get outplayed and outdueled by Trae Young. We seen you lose a game 7 against JaysonTatum. We just saw you, and granted, you were hurt. Like you were hurt. We just saw you lose to Jalen Brunson and the crew against the New York Knicks. So it's just like I'm tired of the what ifs when we talk about Joel Embiid. I'm tired of kind of hearing them talk because at the end of the day, it's just like it's spewed nonsense. And it's interesting because then Paul George came out and basically started talking about how his new teammate. And these are two guys that are like very similar. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in Philadelphia because these are two guys that I love them both. Like because everybody knows how I feel about Joel Embiid. Everybody knows how I feel about Paul George, especially one of my favorite players ever. But it just seems like when things don't work out or things happen and them two may be at fault, it seems like it's a whole lot of finger pointing at times. And it seems like it's a whole lot of like, yeah, but this is the reason why this happened. Yeah, I know, like, I didn't play well, but, I was hurt. Or, yeah, the being on the Clippers, it felt like being on the B team. It's the same Paul George that came out and said that, the Los Angeles Lakers, he wanted to go play with the Los Angeles Lakers, but they didn't trade for him. So, like, they had their chance. It's just like certain things that people say, and then when things kind of like hit the fan, or it's kind of like, I hate people that be in relationships, and when they're in relationships, they're like, oh my God, that person was my all. That was my heart. That was my love. That was my soulmate. We were together so long. I loved them. All looks beautiful while you're together. And as soon as they break up, oh, this person was trash. He was horrible. Oh, I didn't like the way he snored or she snored. Oh, I didn't like her the way she dressed sometimes. Or she was mad or no. It's like, that's not how it works. I just think that as a character, that shows a lot about your character. As soon as things go bad or as soon as things hit the fan, now you're just shitting on the person that you're dealing with. You're shitting on the organization, you're shitting on the team and this and that. I'm not saying relationships don't have their ups and downs. And being a part of teams, you have your ups and downs. But at the end of the day, it's just like they're making excuses or talking about something when you didn't have that same energy when you was in that situation. It's just like, granted, I know you're not gonna have that same energy when you're getting paid by your employer, but it just seems like the Philadelphia Sixers is going to be an interesting, media-driven season. It's probably going to go either really well, or it's probably going to go either really bad because with Paul George and Joel Embiid, it just seems like they're more concerned with talking instead of coming out and working on the game and getting ready for the seasons and making sure they're mentally sharp and prepared and going off and proving a lot of people wrong because they have a lot of haters and some of the things that people say about Joel Embiid, some of the things that people say about Paul George, it is justified to an extent. But I just wish that they don't get so caught up in the noise or the blaming and just focus on this next chapter and focus on like kind of quieting that noise and kind of proving all those people that say they can't do certain things wrong. But what happens is when you say things in the media, you have these conversations, you're always talking, and then when you don't show up, or when things hit the fan, all that's going to do is bring everybody that's been waiting for you to fill into the limelight. And I know they know that because they're they're athletes and they've been in the limelight for years and they're superstars. But it just gets annoying and kind of tiresome when you hear the same rhetoric over and over and over again about why this didn't work, why the situation wasn't what it was. This is the reason why, we weren't successful. I'm always hurt. It's like I hear the same conversations constantly with Joel Embiid and with Paul George, unfortunately. But once again, like Joel Embiid saying what he said about Jason Tatum, even if it's as a joke, we're going to see on all the major platforms. Everybody's about to that they're going to pull that clip talking about if he goes 5 for 20, they're going to lose and things of that nature. Regardless if that's true or not, it's just not factual because at the end of the day, Joel Embiid has had super teams as well and great teams as well. So it's just like, what did you do? Why when you were on those super teams? Were you successful or did you fail?